Most people don't even realize they're following rules that keep them stuck in financial survival mode. In this video, we expose the 10 silent patterns that silently sabotage your wealth, from toxic spending habits and outdated beliefs, to systemic traps that keep the poor poor. Let's be real, most people aren't broke because they're lazy. They're broke because they've been following the wrong rules. Rules they were taught, conditioned to believe, or just never questioned. You might think being broke is because of where you live or who you are, but you'd be wrong. Being broke is usually by design. It's your own rules that have you living broke. If you've ever felt stuck financially or wondered why wealth seems so out of reach, this video might just flip the switch. Make sure you watch it to the end so you don't miss the last 2 rules. No, 1, you live for the weekend, not the vision. So imagine a popular TV show, a movie, a series that keeps you glued to your seat every Friday night, right? There's always a new episode out every Friday and you look forward to it all week long. In fact, that show has become the highlight of your week. Now, I'm not saying watching movies or shows is bad, but if something has become the highlight of your week, then it's taken the place of what should be the highlight of your life. The same thing happens when you live for the weekend. You spend the entire week looking forward to the weekend like it's the highlight of your month. Can't wait to let loose, party hard, hang out with friends, and just enjoy yourself after a long week of work. And while there's nothing wrong with enjoying yourself on the weekends, if that's all you're looking forward to every week, then it's become the highlight of your month. And the problem with that is that you've taken the focus off your vision. You've stopped looking forward to achieving your goals. The reason why most people are broke is because they're living for the weekend, not the vision. They're focused on having a good time now, instead of building a great life later. Don't get me wrong, you can have a great time and build a great life at the same time. But if you're only focused on one or the other, then you're doing it wrong. If you want to achieve your goals, you need to be willing to sacrifice some of your present enjoyment for future rewards. This doesn't mean you need to work all the time and never play. This means that you need to be intentional with your time and energy. Ask yourself, how am I spending my time right now? Am I investing in my future or just having fun? Make sure you're doing both, because you can't have one without the other. Number 2, you spend before you earn. Have you ever heard the phrase, you need money to make money? Well, that's not always true. In fact, it's actually quite rare for someone to go broke because they had too much money. Most people go broke because they spend their money before they even earn it. You see, when you start earning a little bit more money, it's easy to start spending it on things you don't need. You may feel like you deserve it or that you've earned it, but that's not the right mindset. Just because you have money doesn't mean you should spend it. In fact, it means you should be more careful with it. Here's the thing. When you spend money before you earn it, you're essentially borrowing money from your future self. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul. And that's not a sustainable way to live. If you want to stay wealthy, you need to learn how to control your spending habits. No matter how much money you make, if you spend everything you earn, you'll always be broke. So if you're spending before you earn, that's why you're broke. 3, you treat credit as wealth. Credit is basically debt. It's money you owe back to the bank or the credit card company. When you use credit, you're essentially borrowing money that you don't have in order to buy things you don't need. And here's the thing. When you start treating credit as wealth, you're essentially lying to yourself. You're telling yourself that you have more money than you actually do. That's a dangerous game to play. Eventually, you'll run out of other people's money and you'll be left with nothing. If you want to stay wealthy, you need to learn how to manage your credit. Only use it for things you can't afford otherwise, and pay it off in full each month. Don't carry a balance from one month to the next. That's a surefire way to stay broke. Number 4, you ignore financial education. Think about this. Would you hire someone to do a job if they had no experience or qualifications? Probably not. Yet when it comes to our finances, most people don't even consider getting educated on the topic. They just kind of wing it. And that's a terrible idea. If you want to be wealthy, you need to learn how to manage your money. You need to understand basic financial concepts like budgeting, saving, investing, and debt management. You also need to stay up to date on current events and economic trends so that you can prepare for whatever may come your way. Unfortunately, most people don't take the time to educate themselves financially. They think they can just figure it out as they go along. And that often leads to financial ruin. If you want to be wealthy, make a commitment to lifelong learning. When it comes to your finances, read books, attend seminars, talk to experts. Do whatever it takes to improve your financial literacy. No, 5. You believe wealth is luck, not skill. You see, when you believe that wealth is based on luck, you're essentially giving up on your ability to control your own destiny. You're saying that you can't change your financial situation no matter how hard you try, and that's just not true. Wealth is definitely not just based on luck. Sure, luck plays a small role, but it's not the deciding factor. What really determines whether or not you become wealthy is your mindset, your habits, and your skills. You can control these things. You can change your mindset, develop good financial habits, and learn new skills that will help you become wealthy. But first, you need to believe that it's possible. If you think you're doomed to be poor because of bad luck, then that's exactly what will happen. You won't even try to improve your financial situation because you think it's pointless. So, if you want to be wealthy, you need to change your mindset. You need to believe that it's possible and that you have the power to control your own destiny. Number 6, you copy the broke majority. If you hang around broke people, you're going to be broke. Why? Because broke people don't know how to make money. They're always looking for the easy way out, the get-rich-quick scheme. No, they don't want to work hard and smart to achieve their financial goals. And when you hang around them, you start adopting their mindset. You start believing that money is hard to come by and that it's impossible to get rich. The truth is, money is everywhere. It's all around us. We just need to know how to access it. And that's something the broke majority doesn't know. If you want to be wealthy, you need to surround yourself with wealthy people. People who know how to make money, who have successful businesses, and who are financially independent. When you hang around wealthy people, you pick up their habits and you start thinking like them. You start seeing opportunities that others don't. If you want to be wealthy, you need to stop copying the broke majority. You need to start hanging out with successful people who can help you achieve your financial goals. Number 7, you chase quick money instead of smart money. Most people want to get rich quick. They don't want to wait until they're old and gray to finally retire. They want to retire young and wealthy. But the problem is that they're taking the wrong approach. They're chasing quick money instead of smart money. Quick money is money that comes easily and quickly, but it's also money that goes away just as quickly. It's the money you make from get-rich-quick schemes, from gambling, or from selling drugs. On the other hand, smart money is money that comes from working hard and making smart investments. It's the money you make from building a successful business or from investing in real estate. Smart money is slow to come by, but it's also slow to go. Most people don't want to wait for the smart money. They want the quick money. Even though they know it's not sustainable. They're willing to take risks to make quick money, even though they know those risks could ruin their lives. If you want to be wealthy, you need to be patient. You need to be willing to wait for the smart money. It's the only way to build long-term wealth. Money is one of the most important topics in our lives. It affects every single one of us, yet we're afraid to talk about it. We're afraid to talk about money because we're afraid of what others will think of us. We're afraid they'll think we're greedy or selfish. But that's the wrong way to think about it. Talking about money doesn't make you greedy or selfish. It makes you smart and savvy. Most people are afraid to talk about money because they don't want others to know how much money they make or how much money they have saved. They're afraid that others will judge them if they know they make less money than they do. But here's the thing. Talking about money doesn't make anyone else's financial situation any better or worse. It's not going to solve their problems, and it's not going to make their lives any easier. If you want to be wealthy, you need to be willing to talk about money. You need to be willing to share your financial goals with others and ask for their advice. Don't be afraid to talk about money. Be brave enough to do it. No. 9. You treat money like a friend, not a tool. Money is neither a friend nor an enemy. It's simply a tool. It's a means to an end. Money doesn't have feelings or emotions. It doesn't care about your problems or your worries. It's just a tool that can be used for good or evil. People trust it to make them happy, to solve their problems, and to give them financial security. But money isn't a friend, it's a tool. And tools can be used for good or evil. If you want to be wealthy, you need to learn how to use money as a tool. You need to learn how to make money work for you. And that starts with changing your mindset. Number 10, you think small and act even smaller. This is the last rule that keeps most people broke. They think small and act even smaller. You see, when you think small, you limit your potential. You tell yourself that you can't achieve your dreams, that you're not capable of achieving your goals. And when you act small, you do things that keep you broke. You spend money on things you don't need. You procrastinate on your tasks, and you don't put in the effort required to succeed. If you want to be wealthy, you need to start thinking big. You need to have big dreams and bold goals. What do you need to act accordingly? You need to be willing to put in the hard work and make the sacrifices necessary to achieve your goals. Don't act small. Act like you're on a mission to achieve your dreams. If you want to be wealthy, you can't think small or act even smaller. You need to be ambitious and driven. And most importantly, you need to be willing to take action. Action is what separates the wealthy from the broke. The wealthy are doers. They get things done. They don't sit around waiting for things to happen. They make things happen. If you want to be wealthy, you can't follow these 10 rules. You need to do the opposite. These rules will keep you broke, but following these steps will set you free. Remember, wealth is not just about money. It's about freedom. It's about being able to do what you want when you want. If you want to be wealthy, you need to start thinking like a wealthy person. And that starts with changing your mindset. You can't think like the broke majority if you want to be part of the wealthy minority. If you want to be wealthy, you need to be willing to break the rules. You need to be willing to do things differently. You need to be willing to take risks. If you want to be wealthy, you can't be like everyone else. You need to be willing to stand out. You need to be willing to be different. Thank you for watching.